So everyone should have the autoblogger by now. And let's talk about how to actually use it. So the best way to rank on Google is to have more pages and more content on Google. You will almost never see success with I'm going to change this to 50. You need more than kind of, I'd say normally like 300 index pages is a good starting point. If you don't know how to check how many index pages you've got, then just go on Search Console. If you click on pages here, it'll tell you how many index pages you've got right here. So Two Men has 42,000 index pages. So that obviously is 42,000 waves or messages to Google saying that this website is a trusted website. If you have less than 50, then you can never really expect to grow a website. So the reason that I've made this script and this system is so that you can make more pages and get them indexed. And I'm not talking about blog posts. Blog posts are a different thing. You can use this for blog posts. I'm talking about one of the following things, any of the following things. An index page is just an index page. So there are a few options. Service pages. If you're a service, you need to think about all the services that you offer. Okay. Normally, you can put your services into 3 categories or 4 categories or 5 categories. So a good example is HVAC. I don't even know what it means. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So let's say you've got an HVAC service in Florida, for example. You'll see that they will have split into probably the main pillars. So you've got HVAC, plumbing, electrical, specials. Under that, they have sub pillars. Ranking for HVAC service Florida means that this is a good way to do it. So you make an HVAC page and then you make an air conditioning page. And look, it's very, very simple content. You can make this with the ChatGPT Autoblogger in 5 minutes. It's really, really simple. So if you've got a service industry, split your services into 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 pillar pages. And then under that, you can put your subcategories underneath. Okay. Does that make sense? So you could have up to 4, you can have thousands of categories by the end of it. The next one is location pages. This is, again, kind of really only relevant to service industry, where you can see it says Florida air conditioning services at the top here. Let's see areas, locations. There we go. They have a location page for Claremont, which again, it's just very, very simple. The only thing they're changing really for each one of the keyword placement or insertion, where you put, yeah, sorry, tell me.
Would you scroll over one of those links there for the service subservice pages? Yeah, I just wanted to see if those were like, yep, those right there. You see it's Klima
They're
this.
jump links. Yeah, they're jump links. They're not.
I'm wondering if it's going to a service page or like a service location page.
No, it's a jump link, so it just takes you to the same page, but where that
Got you. Those are
page
anchors.
is.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's a good point though, because I would put these as internal links to my electrical repairs page, for example. If you're going to do jump links, I would use a plugin on WordPress or Shopify. I wouldn't do them like this. This makes me think that this was written by ChatGPT, by the way, the fact that they have this, because this is ChatGPT does this all the time. So that's super, super interesting. So yeah, this is a location page. And the only thing they're going to change on each of these is the location keyword, right? So look, you see this home HVAC, plumbing and electrical services in Claremont, Florida. If I go on another one, go on Davenport, it'll probably have exactly the same title, just with Davenport. Okay. So what they're doing is they're just repeating the same pages over and over with unique content and then changing the location. And that's how you make a location page. And you can use the autoblogger for this as well. I'm probably going to change this system because it doesn't need any of these other things. It just needs the main keyword. But for now, at least, we're going to have to stick with the original content plan just because I haven't changed it yet. So you could put like location page inside the content plan. And you can do this with ChatGPT. You don't have to do this manually. And then you'd say like HVAC services in Florida. No, Florida's a bad example. Claremont. Just leave pillar page. It doesn't matter. None of these actually really matter, to be honest with you. It's just the main ones are topic and blog post ideas. And then we'll copy this again. This is universal, by the way. What I'm showing you now is how to just change what the autoblogger is going to write about. Now it's geared to write about HVAC services in Claremont instead of consulting services or whatever it was before. So you can do this very, very easily. What you can do is now that you've got one, okay, you can take this into ChatGPT. I use 3.5 for this, but you can use 4 if you want as well. I hate Zoom. Go away. And you can say, give me more locations in this CSV in Florida. Yes, add these to my CSV page. So you can see it's doing it here. So you can then copy this into the autoblogger and it will write service pages for all of these locations. Okay. This will save you so much time compared to doing it manually. So you should be able to, sometimes the formatting is a bit weird, but you should just be able to copy and paste that direct into here. And then as long as everything else is set up, like you have your brand images, Yeah. So as long as you also have some brand images and links inside your .text file here, and as long as you have an example .text file here. Again, if you want to get an example, you can go to one of your competitors and you can copy the content like this and go to paste to markdown, and then you can put that inside example.text. Make sure it's not copying this though. Obviously you don't want to use your competitors' images and things, so make sure you specify inside the assistant not to use any links from example.text, okay, because otherwise it might do that. And then just an example, I'm going to put inside brand images and text, I'm going to put this, the same thing, and I'm going to run Python testing 3.py, and then this should start to create that content for me. Okay, so that's just a really quick and easy way to do a crap ton of service pages, or sorry, location pages. The other thing that we can do is blog posts. Again, it's the same system. You need to do cd service page generator. Oops, cd chat GPT assistant. You can also just write chat and then press tab, so it does it like that. And then CD SE and then tab, and then you're inside the right directory. You have to be inside this directory if you want to play with the script. Also, sometimes this messes up because, like I said before, sometimes the formatting gets a bit messed up here. Sometimes if you just put a space on line number 2 and then run the script again, it just works. I don't really know why this gap makes it work, but so it's working now. So now within the next 15 minutes, we will have 18 service pages. If you're inside this exact script from GitHub, there is this one here called perplexity.py. So this one here is OpenAI. So you put your OpenAI key here. If you scroll down inside perplexity.py, there is here another place for the Perplexity token. What it does is it does a Perplexity search first to get up-to-date information on the topic, and then it creates the content. So it doesn't choose. It always uses both, but you need to put your OpenAI. This is inside perplexity.py, guys. This is another script, a different script. All of these .py files are slightly different versions of the same thing. It started with testing 3.py, which is the one that we worked on last week. And then I did perplexity.py because I had a client that required up-to-date information. So I added up-to-date information from Perplexity. Again, you just put your bearer token here. And then the final, or the currently final form, is advanced mode.py. This one here will also use code interpreter to create data visualizations, and it will include them automatically in the content. That can really, really help with EEAT. It can help with topic authority. It can help with the general authority. It can help just make those pages rank a little bit better. Currently, the best version of the script is advanced mode.py. And you need to put your OpenAI API key at the top. You need to put your Perplexity API key around line 127. And there's another API, which is here. Free image host API key. So if you just go on Google and type free image.host, they'll give you an API key. You don't even have to sign up. It's just everyone can use the same API key. I think that's how it works. So you can use mine if you want. If you put that inside free image host API key, it's not necessary. You don't have to use it. You can just use testing 3.py if you don't want to use Perplexity. But I will say Perplexity is extremely cheap. So WG, you won't even have to pay because they give $5 API credit to everyone with Pro. Anyway, it costs like less than 1 cent to send an API call to Perplexity. So it's definitely worth it. I'm going to potentially change this to make it more simple for people. But for now, all you need to know is that there are 4 conversations, let's say, or 4 API calls to the ChatGPT API. You can change any of those and it will change completely the final product, but still with the high quality and the same logic, okay? Because the important thing is the way it works, not necessarily the prompts are almost secondary because I've got the prompts doing exactly what I want them to do. So there are building blocks. There's the create assistant, there's the create, get brand links, images, outline, and article. So if you want to change what the blogger is doing, I just keep calling it autoblogger. I need to think of a better word for it. Automated content creator. Then you just need to change the prompt inside. So there are 4 prompts. So if you open, let's just use advanced mode.py for now, because that's the current latest version. If you go to line 81, you'll see instructions, F, blah, 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 blah. This is the assistant creating prompts. So it's just like when we play around in the playground. Sounds so weird saying that. Play around in the playground. If you go to assistants and create, this is the same thing. So you could also just look, you could put this here if you wanted. Okay. Does that make sense? All you're doing is just making the assistant. That's what this piece of code is doing right here. It's creating the assistant. So when you run the assistant, like I just did at 8:47 p.m., you can now see that it creates the assistant in the playground as well. So you can actually see that it has content plan.csv, example.txt, brand images.txt, and then it has the instructions. It's currently not writing blog posts. It's writing pillar pages. So if you want to change what the autoblogger is doing, you change the words from pillar page to blog post. Okay. And then the blog post should be as long as example.txt and use the same tone and imagery, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then you need to put your business name. So Tiny Home Hub, which is a tiny home website, I don't know, etc., etc. Okay. So if you don't like the output, then you can change the assistant if you want. Okay. But there are 3 other calls, because when you use the assistants, if you go on the playground and go to assistants and then you select one, what's the first thing you do? You send a message to the assistant, right? You say, choose me 5 internal links from brand information.txt. So you can see it's reading, blah, 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 and then it gives me the output. It's the same thing. You can see on the side here, this is exactly what it's doing. It's having this conversation. So this is all it's doing. So what we do now is we change the message that we send to the assistant, because if you just say, write me an article, the article is not going to be very good, right? We've all tried this. We've all said to ChatGPT, write me an article about, anything, and it just writes total crap. Okay. So how do we make articles better? We prompt engineer, and we've been talking about this for like a year now. So the way that I personally do it is I choose some internal links. So on line 148 of advanced mode.py, the first thing is get internal links, you can see here. And what it does is it uses retrieval to read brand images and links.txt, which is here. And it chooses 5 relevant pages, their links and their respective images that are relevant to blog post idea from the content plan. So they should be highly relevant to the content plan, and then don't have more than 5. So what that does is it chooses the best images for your article. This is particularly good for e-commerce. If you're writing an article about black shoes and your brand in images and links contains black shoes, it will choose the black shoes for the article. So you can really, really make this work very, very well with products. You can do it with other things as well, but particularly with products, this works so well. So that's the first one. I would not recommend changing this prompt. Okay, whether it's a service page, a blog post, anything. We're on to article for HVAC services in Fort Lauderdale, just to show you the kind of output that I'm getting with it. Yeah, so this isn't even advanced mode. So format this article. This is just using the competitors' images, because I didn't tell it not to use competitors' images. But this is the kind of output that you can kind of expect from this. As long as you already have good images and things, it should be able to just fly through things. So let's just continue, because there are some things that we actually need to be aware of a little bit further down. Okay, so this is the get requests. We've talked about that. So this one actually has 4 messages to ChatGPT, because one of them is use code interpreter. And this is such an important part of this. Please don't remove use code interpreter or use retrieval, because it gets very confused very quickly if you don't specify which tool you want it to use. Like we were talking about before, it will start using the wrong tool. You'll have a nightmare. So just don't remove use code interpreter. And then invent a visualization of some interesting data from Perplexity research. What I'm going to do now is, while I'm talking, I'm going to run advanced.py so I can show you the difference in output from before. So then we put Perplexity here where it says your API key, and then we put the free one. Where is the free thing? Free there. Your API key. It takes a lot longer, just so everybody knows. The advanced mode takes like 8 minutes for an article, but the output is much better. Okay, so the way I recommend people build websites is they have their 5 pillars, and then they have their hundreds of sub pillars, and then they supplement that content with blog posts. What's interesting is a website like Tiny Home Hub, and I talked about this last week, but just for people who maybe weren't here, a lot of the pages that I made early on as pillar pages are the pages that are still ranking in the last 28 days on Tiny Home Hub. So you can see, are Tiny Home Hubs legal in Mississippi? This is the kind of page that you can easily make with this software that was previously very, very time consuming to make, even with ChatGPT. Okay, let's have a quick look at the difference in output. This should be the advanced mode, if I'm not much mistakenly. So let's format this blog post quickly so we can see the difference in output. What is supposed to happen is we have custom graphics that can be included in the article, and they will be automatically embedded into the article as well. Now, not all of them are going to be good. Again, this is why I am not including automatic uploading to WordPress right now, because it's still not perfect. Okay. But generally what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to create 3 different graphs or pie charts or whatever, and it's supposed to give you some information about that. You will need to change the script to make sure it's doing what you want. So let's talk about the final parts of the script just quickly. It's still in advanced mode.py. We've got use code interpreter to invent visualizations. We've talked about that. And it's based on the interesting data from the Perplexity research call that we do earlier on. Okay. And then it uploads it to freehost.org, and then it saves it as it saves the URL of the file. Okay. Then we have the outline request. So this uses retrieval. It looks at brand images.txt and it creates a short outline for a pillar page based on the Perplexity research, not a blog post. So obviously, if you want to write a blog post, you would have to change this to say write a blog post instead of a pillar page. This is how you customize what you're writing. If you want to write reviews, not reviews, like review pages, then just change the wording in the outline prompt. Whatever you want to write, this thing can do whatever you want. If you remember, about a year ago, I don't remember when exactly, we talked about on my channel, I talked about prepping ChatGPT. So we would say like, you are SEO GPT, you are going to rank me first on Google. Do you understand? Yeah, blah, 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 blah. So normally it says, yes, I understand. And then you keep giving it prepping information. This is just that, but in automation. You don't have to do basically anything. You just have to run the script. You first have to change the script and then run it, and it will write millions of articles for you, or thousands of articles for you. You just need to think about how you, or like what types of content belong on your website. Okay. Does anyone have any questions, by the way? Is everyone following?
So you say, okay, so it will write thousands of articles for us. Okay. So, but where do we tell it how many exactly articles to write?
That is a very good question. Does anyone know the answer? How do we tell the autoblogger how many articles to write?
In contentplan.csv.
Yes, exactly. So each row, each line is one article. Okay. So this one is HVAC services in Claremont. The second one is HVAC services in Miami, Orlando, Tampa. You could write every single city in the US and you would have 10,000 or 100,000 or however many cities there are in the US. So all it does is it follows the content plan. So you can see the article that it just wrote is HVAC services in Claremont, which is the first line in the content plan. So the way that you make it write millions is you add more lines to the content plan. Does that make sense, G?
Yes. And remind me, where am I getting in the content plan?
It's on the left, content_plan.csv. So you change the content plan. Let's have a little look at the output here. So format this article properly. Something it sometimes does is it instead of embedding the images or the graphs, it leaves links. So what you can say is, please embed the custom image graphs. Okay, so this is what it's supposed to look like at the end of the day. Okay, with the custom image, with the heart and soul of your images. This is just an example. By the way, make sure that your image names make sense, because this is what it reads. It doesn't read the image, it reads the URL of the image. Okay, so it kind of you have to have something here that tells it what it is, basically, because otherwise it doesn't really know. And then yeah, you just write your business name, etc., and check the links, make sure that the links are real, because like I said before, sometimes the links get made up. But that's pretty much it. That's all you have to do. And it will, I don't know why it's just repeatedly using this Davenport image. Oh, it's because it's the only image. That makes sense, obviously. I'm probably not going to talk about the autoblogger next week necessarily, because I don't know, I would like to continue, but I think you guys can also decide. We can talk about something else, or we can keep talking about the autoblogger. It's up to you guys. This is probably the most powerful and cutting edge thing that we could talk about.
Okay, what kind of graphs? Can you give us an example of what kind of graphs it does? And do we have to prompt it a certain way to be able to create those graphs?
No, you shouldn't have to. It should just do it. I will be honest with you, the graphs are kind of 90% bullshit, but Google doesn't necessarily know that they're bullshit. There's 2 different ways of doing content. There's ranking on Google and focusing on making perfect content. Personally, for me, I would rather see the line go up. And I don't care about perfect content. I'm not a perfectionist. I don't care about aesthetics. None of that matters to me. So if someone comes on my blog and they say, what the hell is this graph? For me, I don't care. It really doesn't bother me. But there are some people that do care. If you want this to be good every single time, there's not really a good way to do it, okay? Because it just uses ChatGPT's weird spaghetti brain to create this, which, I mean, this is kind of useful. Diversity of HVAC services and sources in Tampa, Florida, right? You can see that 7% of them are heating systems. This could all be made up, but the important thing is no one else has this data on their website, and no one is you're not gonna get sued for having like a weird data thing. So for me, it's just I want to get indexed. I want to get indexed as many pages as possible. So I just use this. You don't have to use the data visualization thing if you don't want to. It's just it will help you rank on Google. So I have a stupid question. I am a wedding photographer, but can't figure out what pillars and sub-pillars to do. Do you have an SOP for this? I have something even better than an SOP. I have a custom GPT, which is specific for this. So if you go and explore GPTs, and you should just be able to type in
They have
topical.
GPT? Do they have Plus? I'll run it for them if they don't.
Yeah, if people don't have Plus, then we can run it. Sorry, is it this one or this one? I think there are a few. You can either use the service page topical authority generator or the general topical authority generator. Inside here, you can just write wedding photographer, and it will give you the pillar pages, and you can choose from those pillar pages which for you make the most sense. Okay. No. As a service. So we'll do this one. Sorry. Wedding photographer. This is probably better to do it because it's a service. Let's have a look. Yeah, styles, maybe. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Destination wedding photography makes sense. You'd have all the different destinations under there. Engagement photography, interesting. Packages and pricing. And what do we got? Post-wedding photography editing services. Perfect. That's 5 pillars that you could have. And then if you agree with this, you can say, yes, give me more. And then it'll start breaking those 5 into sub-pillars. And then you create all that content basically. Colin, if I want my content to reflect the latest knowledge out there, do I need to use the Perplexity script? Yes. Yeah, you do. If you have a niche that if you're in crypto, for example, cryptocurrency changes every day, so you need Perplexity. Otherwise, it's talking about things that happened a year ago. It's talking about Bitcoin being at 20,000 or 25,000. So it just will never rank. So you need to use the Perplexity one for certain niches. The niche that we were working with was AI software development, which obviously changes every day. Guys, I'm gonna leave it there. I've had a really long day. Really long day. So I'm sure you guys understand.